Michigan is more than a 2-score favorite Saturday night at Michigan Stadium. I don't know if I like that. Seems a little too much for me. Remember, back in 2020 at home, no fans, Michigan was favored by like 21 over the Spartans. Lost. 2017 started off at like 14 and a half, got down to like 11 by game time. Rain game, John O'Corn throwing interception after interception. Loss to the Spartans. So the Spartans certainly have, in recent memory, right, last 8 years or so, have beat Michigan as double digits, as 2-score or more underdogs. So there's some things to talk about, even though I guess the general fan base thinks this game is going to be a walk in the park. If you would like to beat Michigan State, let's keep the vibes rolling. Good vibes. Good vibes. Give me a like on today's video. Like the video. And then keep watching. We've got a lot to talk about here on the Michigan Football Report. It is the state championship. Michigan State, Saturday night. It is the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. Let's get the show rolling right now. All right, the Wolverines, 3 straight victories over the Spartans after that 2021 debacle when they were up 16 points in the second half. Kenneth Walker ran for 5 touchdowns, and really, it was the only regular season loss for Michigan in a 3-season stretch. This is a Michigan State team that is reeling. They've given up 38 points or more for 4 straight Big Ten games, 0-4 in the conference. And they've won 2 games or some of that, 3 games under their coach, Jonathan Smith, in the Big Ten. And as you see, Michigan, big favorites, more than 2 touchdowns, 14.5 points. Over-under is only 47.5. So not expecting much from the Spartans as far as, putting up big numbers. Obviously, they've given up a ton of points lately. Let's walk through the Michigan State schedule so far through 7 games. Got off early on. There's a Friday night game. First opening weekend of the season, right? Everybody got a chance to watch the Spartans the day before the rest of the college football season started. They won over Western Michigan, but only 23-6 is interesting. Then they get a win in overtime, double overtime against Boston College, a Boston College team that really hasn't been that good this year. And then this one was kind of interesting. It's okay, they won, they scored 41, but they gave up 24 points to Youngstown State. And so you're like, I don't know about this out-of-conference schedule for the Spartans. And it continued, right? They went out to USC, lost that game, gave up 45 points. Then gave up 38 points to Nebraska. 38 points in an absolutely disastrous loss, at least at the time, to UCLA. And then played better. And this is one of those games where I don't think 25 points was the true margin of victory, like how dominant they were or anything like that. But lost Indiana, but their quarterback, the Spartans quarterback, Aidan Chiles, did have a much better game than he had the prior 2 against UCLA and Nebraska, where he almost had no yards passing, really didn't do anything at all in those games. This is the guy. We put him on the thumbnail. We put his name in the title of today's video. I think there's a good chance that he is, even after a year and a half, on one of the hottest seats in college football. Maybe not the top 2 or 3, but he's going to get there with a blowout loss at home. Let's say it's something anywhere close to 49-0 like it was a couple years ago. This isn't the same Michigan team. I don't think this is the same level of bad that Michigan State team was in 2023 after they fired their coach for, remember what that was all about? You guys remember Mel Tucker and the whole Brendan Tracy thing? That team was absolutely reeling. But to give up 38 points or more, 45, 38, 38, 38 in 4 Big Ten games. And it's not like this is Oregon and Indiana and Ohio State and pre-falling apart Penn State. These are just kind of rudimentary, middle of the pack, maybe a little bit higher. Indiana's clearly up there, but it's not like there was 4 straight bangers that they played. It's Indiana, USC we saw they can do, but UCLA, Nebraska, to give up 40 points a game so far in the Big Ten, I think is really troubling. I think Michigan State fans should be incredibly frustrated with Jonathan Smith after a season and a half. If they lose by 30, 35, 40 points, could he be fired next week? I don't know, but could his likelihood of being a coach there in year 3 go way down? I think it'll look incredibly likely that he gets fired at least after the season if this team starts off 0-5 in the Big Ten and gives up another 38 points or more. They like their quarterback. Third-year player, second year at the school. He came over from Oregon State with Smith before the 2024 season. He's had a good season so far, a decent season so far, but he's had a couple stinkers in there, throwing 65% overall for the season, but those stats have really been padded by what happened in the Boston College game and the Youngstown State game, and a little bit of the Western Michigan game, because in those 4 Big Ten losses so far, he's only completing 59.6% of his passes, only 606 yards, right? So we're talking about 150 yards per game in the Big Ten so far. And you got to see these stats. We'll toss them on the bottom of the screen here. 85 yards passing against Nebraska, 66 yards only against UCLA. Now, in those games, I think, okay, you got the job done through the ground. Nope, only 9 yards rushing against UCLA on 6 carries, and then 23 yards rushing against Nebraska on 13 carries. Did, though, have 3 of his 5 rushing touchdowns in those 2 games where he wasn't getting done through the air. 3 rushing touchdowns combined, 2 against Nebraska, 1 against UCLA. So we'll see how his game shakes out. The defense hasn't done well in Big Ten games. Chiles hasn't done well in Big Ten games. So I'll ask you guys this question on the show. 175 yards passing is what the number I'll put at. I'm not sure if that's what the betting odds say. He had 243 against Indiana, 66 against UCLA, 85 against Nebraska, 212 USC, 270 Youngstown State, 231 Boston College, and 155 against Western Michigan. Over or under, just type the single word over or under below 175 yards of what you think Aidan Chiles will do against Wink Martindale's defense. They've got some pretty good wide receivers. All right, they certainly do. Everybody knows Nick Marsh, a very highly rated recruiter. I think a lot of Michigan fans are hoping that maybe after this year, his sophomore year, that he'd look for greener pastures. Maybe look to go and play a season at Michigan before inevitably going to the pros. They also have Omar Kelly, transfer over from Middle Tennessee State last year. The prior 2 years, he was with Auburn. 406 yards. He's their bigger play guy than Marsh has been so far, but Marsh is the guy that gets the ball in the end zone with 5 touchdowns so far this year. Not expecting them to put up a ton of yards through the air against Michigan, but they do certainly have the weapons. I think if they're going to get the win, it's going to be through the air. I'm looking at the running back here. I want to kind of just talk about his stats really quick. He's got a 100-yard game in the opener. Does Mekhi Frazier, 103 yards. But since then, 81, 22, 61, 58, 58, and 1 yard. I don't know if he got hurt or what the story was against Indiana. I didn't really watch that game. What's the final score? I kind of read a couple articles about it. But that is that. Let's take a look at this Michigan State defense. Just absolutely brutal, absolutely terrible performance so far, especially in the Big Ten. You were looking at the 119th rated defense in all of college football out of 132 teams, scoring points, 32.7 points per game, and they're giving up a lot of yards through the air. So Michigan, if they're going to get the ball rolling on offense, it needs to be through the air, right? Michigan State's certainly not great against the run, 131 yards per game, 52nd in the country, but 109th against the pass. I think Michigan should be passing the ball more than they should. Hell, I think Bryce Underwood should maybe be running the ball more than he should. But I want to warn Michigan fans. Worse Michigan State teams have beat better Michigan teams in the past. You go back to 2001. They had some good players, TJ Duckett, etc. 2017 is the one that really kills me. 2020 was just an absolute nightmare, an absolute disaster. And even if you're up 2 touchdowns, 16 points in the second half like they were 4 years ago in Spartan Stadium in East Lansing, that's certainly not enough to just go and water the plants or mow the lawn and expect Michigan to walk out there with a victory. That Michigan State team came back and beat a much better Michigan team than I think this 2025 team is. So anything is possible in this game. And we've seen it for 30, 40, 50 years. Any Michigan State team usually, except for maybe 2023, 2022, can beat any Michigan team. This item is still on sale, $52.19. Random number. Normally $90. I bought it. It's awesome. I love it. A little more maize than it looks in the picture on the website. It looks more a little highlighter yellow on that one, but it's the true maize color. It is the coach's quarter zip. I kind of look like a Michigan basketball coach wearing this bad boy. I love it. Super soft, super comfortable, fits great. And you're going to love it. So get one for yourself. It's chatsports.com/MishQZip. The link to that is down in the comments and the description, second paragraph of the description. Type it into your browser right now. Chatsports.com/MishQZip. This bad boy is only $52.19 right now. Get it for you. Save it for a Christmas present for somebody else, but don't pay full price. Get that link right there and go buy it. Chatsports.com/MishQZip. So what do we want to see from these Wolverines on Saturday? What am I looking for? What am I kind of gauging success outside of a hopefully victory from this Michigan team? Well, number one for me is the use of Bryce Underwood's legs. It seems no matter what he says at press conferences, right? We were going viral a couple weeks ago for saying Sherrone Moore is lying about his use of Bryce Underwood, that they're going to unleash him, they're going to let him run. It really hasn't happened. I mean, how many times in the last couple games since Sherrone Moore's been back, 3 games I guess it's been, has he had a designed run for Bryce Underwood, right? 3 or 4 total, if even that. We're not even sure if all of them are runs. Now, they put in the play action passes in the run pass option game with Bryce Underwood last week, where he's got the option to hand it off, read the linebacker, read the defensive end, boom, short passes. He's making them all day. A lot of catches, high completion percentage, but not a ton again with his legs. And maybe they're trying to save him, right? I don't think Michigan has anything going on from a backup quarterback perspective. Jaden Davis has got that weird hitch. I didn't want to talk about that. It's something unlike I've ever seen from a college football player at this level. So maybe they're trying to hold back on getting Bryce Underwood hurt. But you're going to need him to beat Ohio State with using his legs. You're going to need this to be an option if you just wait till the 12th game of the year to actually unleash Underwood, other than when Biff Poggi is the coach. I'm not sure if you're going to get the results that you wanted. This offense without Sherrone Moore, with Sherrone Moore, I should say, is not been that great, right? This team has had 4 games with him against Power 4 teams. So take out New Mexico State, okay? Take out, who was the other one? Central Michigan, West, whoever they played in the first game there. And New Mexico, and who was it? Central Michigan, yeah. And what do you have, right? What do you have with this team? And that one was with Biff, I should say. So with Sherrone as head coach, you've got Nebraska, right? Oh, I'm sorry. You've got Oklahoma, you've got Wisconsin, you've got USC, and you've got Washington. Michigan has only scored 18.5 points and gone 2-2 in those 4 games. Power 4 teams. You scored 13 against USC. You scored 13 against Oklahoma. Both losses. 24 points in the win over Washington and 24 in the win over Wisconsin. So Sherrone Moore has got to show that the offense doesn't take a step back when he is the damn head coach against teams with a pulse. And that's just what it is. So I'll ask you guys this poll question to see what you're thinking about with Bryce Underwood. Will he have 30 or more rushing yards on Saturday? So comment yes or no. It'll be really simple for us to kind of tally up the vibe of the fan base. Yes or no, 30 plus rushing yards against the Spartans on Saturday. Next up, Justice Haynes. I think he's going to play. He's been in practice. He's got some reps, and of course, Jordan Marshall got the job done last week with 133 yards, 25 carries, a big workload for him, a few catches out of the backfield. But I do expect Justice Haynes to play. But how much, right? Is it going to be something where he's the second, option to Jordan Marshall? We'll see. If they're both 100% fully healthy, what does that split look like? Because both these running backs have shown the ability to get 100 yards in a game and 5 yards plus carry average as the starting running back at Michigan. Marshall certainly doesn't have the explosiveness, the big game play, 75-yard touchdown runs pretty much every game like Justice Haynes did, but both guys can get the job done. And I think if you've got 2 running backs of this caliber, it's going to help you out when you have injuries or guys, dinged up, need a few plays out there, or you just want to wear down a team like Ohio State, which you'll get the opportunity to do in about 1 month and a week from now. So will Justice Haynes plays, I think, is the biggest thing, I'm looking for when the game starts. When the game, continues on, we will see a lot of these things will be of equal importance. Number 3, which defense will show up against the Spartans? Will it be a defense that looked completely confused, was giving up long plays, was giving up runs, was giving up reverses and short plays and screen plays against USC, or letting the quarterback run all over you and then pass all over you like against Oklahoma? Or will we see a defense that completely shuts down its opponents like the team did last week against Washington, with a quarterback that can do both things, right? Washington's quarterback has some similarities to Aidan Chiles. They both get the ball, get it done through the air, both move the ball with their feet. Wink Martindale, right? A lot of heat on him last week. He came through, but he's got to come through again. He's got to come through on the road, because, Michigan's 2 losses this year have been on the road where they've given up 30-plus points, and Wink Martindale has kind of looked confused, to say the least, in both those games. Let's get to 36,000 subscribers, guys. If you've yet to do so, the channel is 131 subscribers away from 36,000. Can we get there by the game time on Saturday? I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/Michigan TV. You can always come back if you're unsubscribed, but you'll never miss a video if you are subscribed. Hit that sub button today. Let's get to 36,000 subscribers. My last thing to watch for. Sherrone Moore on the road is kind of stunk as Michigan's head coach, right? He only has one win. That can't be true. That can't be true. It is true. It is true. They're right. They played four road games last year. USC, Illinois, who was the other one I'm forgetting? And then Ohio State, right? Got the win against Ohio State. He was the coach on the road for one game this year to start the year in the out-of-conference. Oklahoma was suspended. Another road game, USC, lost both those games. And now you've got Michigan State. So one road game in 2 seasons as Michigan's coach, a season and a half so far, is not going to get it done, right? That is just brutal. If you lose against Michigan State, 14.5-point favorites, compounding with 5 losses last year, already have 2 this year, looking forward to Ohio State. Oh, wow, if we can't beat Michigan State, if we can't beat Ohio State, you're looking at a 4-loss regular season. Maybe you have bad morale. You get a loss to Maryland or, hell, even Purdue or something like that. Could this team go 7-5 in the regular season? It could spiral out of control. So this is really one that Sherrone Moore needs. Jim Harbaugh, surprisingly, I mean, he lost games in this rivalry that he should not have lost. 2015, they should have won that game. 2017, they were favored big time. An awful game plan. 2020, just a disaster of a game for Michigan. 2021, so Harbaugh lost 4 times in his 9 seasons against Michigan State. And I want to make sure Sherrone Moore to make sure he got a good win last year at home. Some creative play calling. Donovan Edwards threw a touchdown pass last year. Sherrone Moore needs to prove he can win away from Michigan Stadium because, frankly, it's been a completely different team at home versus away. And not just like, oh, it's the jitters of being on the road, or, oh, they're not, this, that. It has been completely different play calling, completely different approach. He's coached like he's scared on the road outside of the Ohio State game, which he seems to have the mindset for, which is a good thing. And this is one for him to prove it on Saturday. Let's get your score predictions down in the comments. Michigan State, Saturday night primetime on NBC. Comment below. I'll make mine on the cuff. I didn't really prepare one. I'm going to go Michigan 31, Michigan State 17, half-point away from covering, but to get a 2-touchdown victory. We will see you guys in the postgame on Saturday night. Till then, go Blue.